Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team, and this week actually featuring a few more members. I'm Calvin, and this week I am joined by Deanna and Cam. If you both want to say hi, or say hi individually.
Hello.
Hello.
So these two are some voices you may have heard if you've listened to some of our older actual play episodes. They featured on our Starfinder game as S and Dejecta, our one being our very tough Vesk, and the other being the very charming Kahlo performer. So they're just on the podcast this week because Ramon is out, so I wanted to do something a bit different. So again, like we've had guests before. We had Steven and Tim on the show before, so now we've got more people who I've been wanting to get on the podcast for a while, really. So now we finally have them on the show. And this show, of course, like we've said before, it's all about providing DM tips and RPG tips and just sort of making it a bit more comfortable for people to jump on the other side of the screen. But I think for this week, we'll probably focus a bit more on player things and maybe get into more DM stuff later in the episode. And maybe in another episode, if I'm able to get these two back. Now, normally, Ramon will do a DM tip of the week or a weekly Win with Dice tip, or honestly, whatever it's called. And he is known for leaving it to the last moment. And I always admonish him for that. And then I did the same thing. So I guess this week, the DM tip that I would provide is, I guess, something that comes up for me very often, which is sort of the notion of having to prepare what you don't want to have to think of on the spot. And the one thing I want to focus on, and this is something I've probably mentioned like a billion times before on the show, just in general conversation, is having a list of NPC names. I think that's one of the tools that's been incredibly valuable to me, and it's a lesson I had to learn multiple times. When I've had to come up with a name for someone on the fly that I didn't like plan a name for, when they were really just like a generic background character, it was really useful for me to be able to like lean back on that and say, well, I have a list here, and this list fits names of like, these are all half-orcish names, or these are all elvish names. And I could just like lean on that and I could pick out a name. And then as I'm making my notes, I make sure to write down that name. I either put it in bold or just take it out of the list so I know that I've used it. But it's really something that like anything else, like writing down a rule that you know you're going to need to come across, or having anyone who's played the first edition of Pathfinder probably had a chart for how grappling worked. Like, you just want to have up in your face on your DM screen or on some sort of tab on your computer if you're playing online, like most people are, you want to have something that you don't want to have to stop the game to look up later. And I guess that is my tip. Just be aware of what you don't want to look up and probably focus on names, if that is useful information. I gotta stop ragging on Ramon for doing this last minute now, because I realize how much pressure it is. But other than that, let's get to the meat of the show, which is interviewing my two lovely guests here. So I guess let's make...
I'm lovelier.
Sure, I don't know if you want to make it a competition. I won't judge. Okay, so let's get to, I guess, the interview portion of the show, wherein like I mostly wanted you two on to like help also reintroduce yourselves, because we haven't played for a while. We've recorded stuff that hasn't gone up yet, and I've been just trying to get that out for the longest time. Just actual real life work has really disrupted my my years, so a lot of things kind of fell to the wayside. But definitely, I really wanted to get you two on the show for like a long time, because you are like part of the earliest parts of this channel. We had the Starfinder game, obviously, but we also did some Pathfinder one-shots. We've got some Mutants and Masterminds in the can, so I don't know. I've been wanting to get you two here for a while, so I was hoping, I guess for the first question, whoever wants to hop on first, I guess my first question would be, who are you? Just if you want to give yourselves like a quick, brief introduction of like your name and maybe like what it is you do, or I guess maybe what got you into RPGs in the first place. Whoever wants to hop on that first.
Well, I'm Cam, and I'm looking for a job. But I graduated from a social worker program from George Brown, and I got into RPG because I just wanted to get out of my shell, and it kind of helped me like pick my program and what I want to do with my life.
Wow.
Again, I'm looking for a job.
We'll see what we can do. I don't know if we're really the location to find a job. I mean, unless you want your job to be podcast hosting or running a tabletop RPG, then we can help you out there.
For sure, anything that pays really at this point.
Oh, well, if you want something paid, then no.
Oh
No.
I got nothing for you there. Deanna, how about you?
Hello. My name is Deanna, or D is cool too. I am a graphic designer / artist, and I'm almost graduating, which is terrifying. And as far as RPGs, I don't know. Didn't I just like come join you one time when you were playing as Ramon or something?
Yeah, I think I probably brought you along for that. Gosh, that was a while ago because I was still playing Macy back then.
Yeah.
Pre-boot Macy, pre-reboot Macy. I think. You were playing with us when we were playing Pathfinder First Edition, right?
Yeah.
Right. And gosh, I'm trying to remember what your character was, but I guess we could get into that as we. Well, yeah. Let's just go right into that because I did want to ask like about maybe your first characters or memorable characters. So Deanna, I guess we'll start with you for this one. Because we're on the subject. If you remember what your very first character was,
I don't.
I remember you had that like fire mage, but I don't know if that was your first.
No, I think my first was Faye something, and she was like alchemy stuff.
Right. Yeah. Because we were going
She
over
was like
explosives and stuff. Yeah.
She was like heavily inspired by Ciri from The Witcher. Yeah, and we just tried to kind of like adapt that to Pathfinder, I think. And so she made like potions and like acid and bombs and stuff like that. And then I think what happened with her is that like I only had a digital sheet or something like that, and then it got wiped something. So then I had to make a new character.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Where did we used to have those sheets? Were they on Roll20 or something like that?
It wasn't Roll20. It was some other website. I don't remember what it was.
You're right. Yeah, I can't remember the website now, but we did have like our sheets online, and then that site got wiped. This was ages ago. Anyone that it happened to probably remembers it happening and probably remembers what the website is. But yeah, that sort of threw a few things off because I definitely lost a few levels on Macy when that happened.
And I don't think I had any backups of her, so that's why like I had to start completely new. I think my next character was that halfling. I don't remember her name anymore. Margwyn. Margwyn, that's what it was.
Yeah, that name is familiar. I definitely remember playing with Mark. Didn't Macy throw Margwyn at some point?
I feel like she did, yeah.
That seems like something Macy would have done.
Yeah.
Cam, what about you? What was your first player character?
Well, my first serious character was Lady Cam. She was a knight. She got blind, but her backstory was she was a lesbian, and she was living at a time where that wasn't accepted. So her lover got killed. So she like avenged her or something. And then she had the chance to come back from death. But she chose not to because she saw her wife and she just wanted to be with her in the afterlife.
Yeah, I remember that. I think we actually talked about that on the show a bit. Because that was a very unique decision at the time. Like, I have, like, at that point, and almost every point since, I haven't come across an instance of a player character that died and had the chance to come back, but chose not to. That's never something that's, like, happened since or again for me. And I don't know, I thought that was a really interesting character decision because it was, like, You did have to go through the trouble of making another character right after that, I think. Oh no, because you did. I think you ended up coming back somehow anyway. By force, maybe, if I'm remembering the situation correctly.
Yeah.
Did I?
Didn't someone like force you to come back or something like that? You didn't want to, but
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Oh, I think we stopped playing that game. But I think I don't know if I came back. Because I remember my next one was a Merleave.
Oh yeah, Merleave.
The really buff monk.
Yeah, Merleave, that was within our Pathfinder one-shot that we had on the channel, actually, which I'm probably going to have to link below, as well as all of our Starfinder games, just so people hear more of you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, just thinking back to these previous characters and how there's still memory of them, because those things kind of feel like, I don't know if lived experiences is the right word here.
Ooh, social work.
Played experiences.
Ooh, that's good. Played experiences. I'm gonna put that in the title. Yeah, no, it's just thinking back to those early characters. Like for me, I still recall my first ever player character. This real charming jerk of a ranger by the name of Lermos, who had a mirror that gave him a compliment every time he looked at it. And
Wow.
I need that.
oh, he was the best, at least according to his mirror. So I kind of, I didn't get to do a whole lot with him. I think my first like real serious character was in a Mutants and Masterminds game, a fellow by the name of Darkwing. But I don't know, I still remember Lermos, and I still like. Part of me wants to go back to that character again, because it's just like you have these brief experiences with these characters that are like so highly unique to them, because you've gone through the trouble of crafting them as a person, and then you guide them through these events, and they just feel again these played experiences. So I guess what I would also ask is if you have any sort of like memorable characters and moments, or memorable characters and memorable moments while you've been playing. Like, is there any of your player characters that you've made that stand out to you, or an NPC that stands out to you, or like a general moment in a game that you always come back to? And I'll start with Cam on this one, since we seem to be alternating who we start with.
Oh, I miss Goblin, but we never recorded with her. Like the goblin who had a change of heart in one of our games.
This was in if our longtime listeners will know that we've talked about this game before, the Path of Inion game. That was really like a heavy exploration game that Ramon was running, just because we had like a decently sized group. So we started off like with the group was split in half with two different sets of people. And Cam's character in that was this goblin monk by the name of Goblin, who had a very checkered past, if I recall correctly.
Yep. I wanted revenge. And then Corey kept stabbing me every time I did something bad, so I thought about, I need to be a good person.
Yeah, because you had this incredibly powerful guy who was like really really keeping an eye on you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Deanna, what about you? Is there any sort of memorable characters among your player characters?
Well, I've always thought Skullgis was really cool, or hot, I guess. And then I loved Ramon's, I think it was Ramon's idea, that like another character I made have Skullgis as their deity.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that idea, that because like I thought she was a really cool character, and then we weren't really playing that game anymore, but still got to kind of like think about Skullgis, and I just thought that was really cool that like my character became a deity. Like I know it's our world and we get to decide what happens in that world, but it's just, I don't know, it's a cool idea. And my character was a deity. And then another character that I've just been thinking about since we started the episode wasn't really a full-fledged character, but do you remember when I made that stupid gnome thing?
I fully remember that. Yes, I do.
What was the name? Do you know?
I honestly don't remember the name. I just remember the image you found of like this screaming garden gnome that you were going to use as like the image for your character, and I was like, really?
It was like a really ridiculous angry garden gnome with a gun or something like that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make like I don't know, like this really crazy, chaotic gnome. It was never a serious character, but I thought it might have been fun to actually play with it. I never did, but
Yeah.
it was still cool. He still has a special place in my heart.
I definitely remember being like against the idea at the time, but I feel like if that came up now, I'd have been like, okay, sure, fine. We'll see how long this person lasts. Because even if it's a very brief flash in the pan, it's going to be a very memorable moment to have that character involved.
Yeah. I think it could have been fun, but I have no regrets. You know, he was pretty dumb, and like I didn't really have a backstory or anything, so
yeah,
it's all right. It's all right.
So, what so I don't know how many systems either of you have played. Do you have like a favorite among the systems? Anything that you like, kind of like going back to, or I mean, I know that we have the most experience with Pathfinder. Deanna, I guess I'll start with you again. We have the most experience with Pathfinder, but is there any other particular system that we've played that you would want to go back to?
I think I'm still just very partial to like the fantasy setting. I think that's my favorite. Might have something to do with me always listening to Critical Role, but I do enjoy the fantasy setting. I miss it because we've been playing a lot of. Well, I mean, we haven't been playing much lately, but what we've played has been Starfinder or Mutants and Masterminds. So I'm excited to go back to fantasy, I think.
Okay. And Cam, what about you? Like, what else? What other games have you played?
Well, I used to play with these people that I met on Meetup. We've played the Fate game system, and it was kind of like a post-apocalyptic world where I played like a cyborg. That was pretty cool. What was her name? S or something? You were there.
I don't think it was S. Didn't you have Shepard? Was that Shepard?
Oh,
or
no,
was that
that's.
something
Oh,
else?
I had Shepard too. That's a different game on Roll20. And it's kind of like living in a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah, all these post-apocalyptic games. Actually, Cam, because I did briefly play a Fate game. I played a couple sessions of a Fate game on another channel where some friends of ours, friends of the show, Untold Stories Project. Shout out to them. I played a Fate game for a couple sessions on there, and I found that Fate was really, at least the version that we were playing, it was a lot more narrative-based, less, I guess, crunchy than Pathfinder is. So what was that like for you? Like playing this very like I found it to be like a much looser system, as far as like you need to know all these numbers and rules goes. So how did you find the Fate system?
I like it because I get to like be in a character more instead of like focusing on rolling a dice. Like I like to really get into that person's personality, and if like rolling a dice doesn't really like do that, because the games that we play are like heavily on combat, but then I'm like, how do I role play while I'm stabbing someone or punching someone? Like how do I get to be like aloof or goofy or like badass in a personality kind of way?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. That's, I think, one of the values of a popular system like that, that's more like narrative focused instead of combat focused. Because most of these systems, because they derive from Dungeons and Dragons, which derived from war games, which were all like exclusively combat focused, and the main thing they reward you for is doing good in combat. So yeah, no, definitely a system that I personally liked how narrative focused it was, and it sounds like you felt the same way about it. So
because I get to like act and embody like a different person, and dissociate from my actual self.
I mean, yeah, that is part of the value of these RPG games. Well, that leads into another question pretty well, actually, is the question of what makes you keep playing, or what engages you in a game. Like, is it stepping into that role?
Well, I miss you. I do. I haven't seen you in a year.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah. I know. Oh man, it's it's been ages.
It has been. I love you.
You already know. Yeah, no, I do miss playing in person. I miss playing with the both of you. Cam. It's been too gosh darn long.
Excuse me, I'm here too.
Yeah, I know.
Like I said, I'm the lovelier person here.
Yeah, no, of course I mean both of you, obviously.
You better.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I do miss hanging out and playing. So I guess is that why you play the game then? Like, so you can spend more time with your friends?
One reason, but also like for me, like it's kind of therapeutic because it really does get me out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when I was in school for like doing like counseling and shit, like I kind of just like put myself in that mindset that I'm doing a role-playing game with possibly service users that are my classmates at that time, so I don't get that nervous trying to like practice counseling with people. Does that make sense?
Interesting. So,
Yeah.
So you approach it as you would approach like an RPG. Does that help you like, I guess, lower the stakes of it to make it feel more comfortable, or is it just more like, is it more of a is it easier to conceive something when you gamify it? I guess like it's less of like this is an important school and career thing.
Yeah, because I feel more confident when I'm playing a character instead of like Cam, the
Right.
social worker wannabe.
Right. Yeah, no, that's definitely again like a very valuable thing that you can get out of an RPG is like being able to step into another character's shoes for a bit. I think being able to bring that back out into real life, you could just sort of take like this this third person outside view of your own life in some ways, and just say like, yeah,
that's like the person I want to be, like that person
Yes.
that I'm playing. Like I get to be like, oh, if I be this person, I can be like a good counselor person.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, it definitely makes sense. No, you're I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Deanna, how do you feel about like what keeps you playing and what engages you in an RPG or a tabletop RPG game?
I think one part of it is getting to like spend time with friends and making friends too. Like I feel for a long time you were like my only friend. and then with role-playing games, it's like I don't know, I got close to Ramon. Like I've known Ramon for a long time because we went to high school together, but I never really was friends with him until we started playing games together, and then I met other people because of it. But also games are like you get to be creative, I guess, and I've never tried DMing. I'd like to, but even just playing a character, you get to come up with like their personality, like a backstory, and like figure out what kind of skills they have, all that stuff. It's just kind of fun to temporarily live in another world.
Yeah, so like the creative aspect of it, like the coming in and you're like forming this person and their backstory and maybe parts of the setting that they come from. Like, is that that's part of what draws you in?
Yeah, I like that a lot, and I miss it because it's been a while since I've played.
Yeah, it's been a bit. I feel like I've apologized like a billion times in our Win with Dice group chat because I'm always like, God, I want to run all of our games so badly. I've been, I don't know, because I keep listening to like music and stuff that makes me want to run games, and I try to prep things, but it's always like some work thing comes up, and like I've been listening to I don't know if you've watched The Mandalorian at all.
I haven't, no.
I've been listening to that soundtrack a lot, and there's some stuff in there that like inspires like very specific characters, and it's like I want to throw this NPC at you and see how you react to them. And I don't know, I would like to get there. I just feel like I'm prepping a lot of stuff for our games, and then I don't know, I just feel too nervous about it now, if I'm being honest, but I just gotta like go for it at this point because I know that
bro. You're an amazing storyteller.
Aww. Thank you. I don't know, like I know
Good
that
at what you do.
Oh my gosh, is this the Compliment Calvin show? Because
Yes.
I'm into it. That was actually something that came up with me and Ramon, where the only argument we have is like trying to one up being nice to each other. But yeah, like I don't know. I know we make great stuff. Definitely, people, if you want to check out like our older episodes, I think right now we can do things that are like of better technical quality. That's why I want to get back to it, because I know that if we hop in and start playing and having fun, whatever we make is going to be awesome. So getting back to the interview instead of just patting ourselves on the backs. Do you think that there is any sort of like particular party role or player role that you fall into very often? Because like, is there something that like you feel like you do often as a character? Well, I don't know if you've played like enough to have a thing like that, but is there something that you feel like you do often, some sort of like common trope that you fall into, or some common thing that you do in the party that comes up a lot? I forget which person we're on now because we kept going back and forth. Are we on Deanna now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so Deanna, you can answer first.
I'm not sure. I feel like a lot of times my character like hangs back. I'm not like right in the combat or whatever. You know, I'm more of a like a long distance kind of thing. Other than that, I'm not really sure if I have any like things I do all the time.
Okay. Cam, what about you? Do you feel like you have any sort of like party role that you fall into a lot?
Well, it depends on the setting, because when I'm playing more like narrative heavier games, I tend to play like the envoy. That's a class, right?
Yeah.
So because like again, it's like I can let the personality of that character shine through. But when I'm playing more like a combat heavy game, I usually do like more tank. Like Lady Cam was a knight, and Merleeve was a monk, and Goblin was a monk. And the Eminem game that we're playing, I'm like, what am I there? A shooty person?
Yeah, you're a modern day cowboy, or old school cowboy in modern day times.
I'm an anachronism.
Yes.
But,
yeah, we haven't really put anything of that out yet, but I am really excited for it.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Sorry for the spoilers. But like, I'd like to try eventually at some point, try a magic character.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, I guess they can do pretty heavy damage as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Merleeve is like, not Merleeve, Goblin, all I have to do with her is to just hit, and if I hit you, you're gone. Pretty much.
Yeah, that definitely, like, I do the same thing too. Like, I'll lean onto those martial-based characters instead of magical characters, but
yeah,
I don't know, I find magic characters are very stressful to me. Like, I've been playing a druid recently, and it's like, I only have a couple of spells, and it's like, well, what do I use it on? Because I can have 2 heal spells, but what if there's a situation where, like, I wish I prepared, like, Gust of Wind or something. I don't know, it's too much for me. Just give me a mace, I'll swing it. That's all I need to remember.
Because I miss playing that game we had with Chris when he was like a cleric or something. What was it?
When
he healed people a lot, and we cleric,
yeah,
and we don't have someone that heals now.
Yeah.
So heal the damage.
Yeah, that's something that I'm probably gonna be doing more of, is leaning to like the cleric characters. That's what I want to do with the druid, is just be a healer, but like it's not a heal focused class, so. But yeah, like every party needs that support, so you can get real effective in combat.
But I also want to hit someone powerfully.
Of course. So something that I feel is very topical with the times is the differences in playing in person versus playing online. If either of the two of you have, like, obviously there's a difference in it. I was just wondering, like, what of the differences stands out the most for you two? Cam, if you want to go first, like, what do you find is the most significant difference in playing, like, in person, sitting around a table, or versus playing online on, like, a virtual tabletop, like Roll20 or something like that?
Oh, I like face-to-face playing, because I get to actually see, like, the reaction up front, and I get to feel the vibe more at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, I just, like... You know me, I'm very funny.
You are.
Funny looking.
Aw.
So it's easier to get that vibe when I can see someone like right in front of me. Because then if it's like I'm online, I'm like, am I just really having fun by myself, or like people are like feeling my vibe too?
Right. Yeah, I have that same problem. Like, I can never tell if I'm talking too much if I'm playing online.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people are just like quiet, and I don't know like what's going on, or even if I can see them, like I don't know if that's just their like resting face expression, or if they're like, God, I wish this guy would shut the hell up. Like, I don't know. I can't tell. Deanna, how about you? Like, what have you noticed? Like, what are the significant differences for you between when you're playing in person and playing online?
Yeah, I'd say another big thing is like playing online or even just recording a podcast. I'm always worried I'm gonna like talk over people or I don't know, get interrupted and all that. Like, it's just not the same as being in a room with everybody.
Yeah.
And then of course, just like the human connection that I'm sure most of us are missing these days.
Of course. Yeah, it's very easy to just accidentally talk over someone when you're online, because like there's obviously that timing like difference, because you'll start saying something, someone else will start saying something, then like you stop and then they stop, and it's like, okay, well, who talks first? You talk first, I talk first. Like,
that happens like way too much.
very incredibly
Look at your face.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I did it.
So something I had asked, I think I had asked him this before, but is there something that you would want to try but you haven't yet, like outside of DMing, which might be a different subject? Like, is there something in regards to a game, like a character idea you've had, or a class you've wanted to play, or like a different game or different genre that you've wanted to play that you haven't got a chance to yet?
I feel like I haven't done much like tanky stuff, like a barbarian or a monk. I haven't tried those things, and I'd like to.
Okay, someone to like hand out the damage more, or to take the
Yeah,
damage more?
and someone, well, both. I'd like to be able to take the damage and dish it too. Yeah.
Cam, how about you?
Well, I've always wanted to. I think I've talked about this with you. Like, I wanted to play this character that, like, the more they get hit, like, they get some sort of power from it. It's like, I don't know, regeneration, or like their attacks get more powerful, but then maybe like their attack rolls get lesser. But then if they hit, then it's powerful. It's like the more damage they receive, powerful they get. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. I think we could probably like figure out something like that in Mutants and Masterminds. Even though I really like your character right now, so I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That's definitely something you can do in that system.
Where's Grandbankss?
Oh yeah, Robin, one of the NPCs in our Mutants and Masterminds game. Which, God, I've been really wanting to do that one. Just because of the game system, I've been really wanting to get back to it. But I've been really wanting to get it back to Starfinder because I really like the characters in that, and I already have some experience with them. So I don't know. I keep being like very torn between the two. I swear every other day I'm like, man, I miss superheroes, and then other times I'm like, man, I miss space. So, but Starfinder is what I'm aiming for first. So, hopefully
I love
this
being
month.
rejected too. I love being rich and charming and talented.
Yep.
All the things that I am in real life.
Exactly. I think Ejecta is the only one of our player characters in Starfinder so far that ended up having her own theme song. At least in terms of that episode is out. The episode where Ejecta is introduced, and I had because I would put like different background music in different scenes, and I found this one really cool like jazzy tune that I put behind Ejecta's scenes, and I was like, I guess this is her theme song now. So Ejecta gets to be the superstar of the game.
And the cast. By the way, this is all self-deprecating jokes. So I don't really take myself this seriously.
Yeah, no, none of us do. That is that is a requirement to be on the Win with Dice team, is that you don't take yourself too seriously. Cam, before the recording, you had mentioned that RPGs helped you discover your interest in social work, and earlier you had mentioned how they help you in your studies. I was wondering if you wanted to say more about that. Like, how did they help you with regards to discovering your interest in social work?
Oh, I just found out that I love having connection with people, because before I went into social work, I was like in IT. Oh my god, I have a degree in that.
Ooh.
And it's very like isolating.
Mm-hmm.
Very lonely. And I'm like, I got into RPG and I'm just like, oh, human connection, that's good. Like,
Right.
vibing with people. And then I picked social work because, life isn't easy and I want to be there to support people.
Right.
Yeah.
Understandable. So, okay, so I see that. So that helped you with wanting to form connections with people, and then it helped you sort of like get through studying as well.
Yeah.
So
thanks for being my friend.
of course. Yeah, no, like again, like these played experiences, as they've been called, they definitely can have like a real world impact. That I think is like just very, very important to people. Deanna, I wanted to ask you about Critical Role. Just like I was wondering if that has had any sort of like, I don't know how much you've been able to play since you started listening to it, but I was wondering if that had any sort of impact on your, or maybe just on your view of RPGs in general, listening to and watching Critical Role, because there are some people who, I guess, make an issue of what's known as the Matt Mercer effect, wherein they expect every D&D game or RPG game to be like Critical Role, and they expect the DM to deliver that on their own, but they expect every sort of like home game to be like a more professionally produced game that stars voice actors, but they expect the DM to do that all on their own. And I was wondering if Critical Role has had any sort of impact on your view on RPGs, because I don't feel like you've fallen into that, because you seem more sensible of a person than that. But I was wondering, because I was thinking about that sort of effect, so I was wondering if it has had any effect on you at all.
Well, I mean, I understand that, like, for Critical Role, it's not the only thing they do, but like Matt Mercer is able to spend a lot of time on that and money, because they're already like voice actors, so of course they're going to be amazing like at playing different roles and things like that. So I'm not expecting that from you or Ramon or whoever else is DMing. I know we're not voice actors. I know you guys have other jobs, so
yeah. I have like 2 voices.
Yeah, I feel like if I ever DM, that's gonna be me too. Like I don't think it's gonna be nearly as good as that, but that's okay. I mean, it's still a role-playing game. It's still fun. Yeah, I think listening to Critical Role has had a big effect on me wanting to try DMing. Like I said, like it's not gonna be that level or whatever. It's probably not going to be nearly as complex as like the worlds that Matt Mercer has built, but it's still going to be fun, and I'm still excited to try it.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I guess that also has to do with one of the last things I wanted to ask you, which is, would you want to run a game? And Deanna, you've said this multiple times, so I guess the answer is very obvious at this point. How you would feel about moving into like running a game, like if that's something you would want to do, or if it's something you've been considering. Like, is there any specific thing that holds you back from doing so?
Well, yes, I do want to, if you could not tell, but I am also very like nervous about it. I'd say just in general, I have like social anxiety, and I've always been pretty quiet. And I'd just be like afraid of, what are people going to think of the things that I come up with, and am I going to sound weird like telling stories, or am I even going to come up with good stories? Like, It's just really scary, but I would like to try it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, same here. Definitely had those same issues when I started out. Cam, how do you feel about like running a game? Like, was this something you would want to do, and is there something that you feel like is like keeping you from doing it if you want to?
Well, I tried to run a game. I wanted to do some sort of like experiment before I knew that thing is called social work. Is like I wanted to do like a system where people create characters that had like certain identities or statuses in life and make their decisions based on that. Like say like you had certain level of education, you were like born in this like economic status, like how well would you do?
Mm-hmm.
But then like the players were not buying it, so I just did whatever they wanted because I don't know how to set my foot down.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
You were
tough
there.
sometimes.
Now that I know that thing is called intersectionality, but I was trying to do that in a RPG game before I knew about it.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, like sort of gamifying the different like aspects of different people. I think that can really help with sort of like seeing things from another person's perspective.
Yeah.
Definitely having that impact. I recall you running a Star Wars thing at some point.
Oh yeah, I have that. It's for beginners, RPG beginners.
Yeah,
Age of Rebellion.
Yes, yeah, I definitely remember you doing that. That was a million years ago.
Yes.
But I definitely remember having fun with that. Maybe we'll be able to pick it up again at some point.
It's all in the book. I just have to read.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I would love to see either of you two like running a game. Like, I want to see what you can do. Like, because like with this podcast, what we've been trying to do, and what I feel like we've been somewhat successful, and hopefully continue to be, is to just sort of approach GMing from a very casual point of view. That's why it's mostly just like a casual conversation. And a lot of recaps going over like, well, here's what happened in the game, and here's what I was thinking as the person running the game when this was happening, and here's why I did this, and here's what I prepare when I'm doing that, and just sort of having that casual approach to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm hoping that as more people are listening in the future, there's more. I wanted to remove the mystery of TMing, I guess. Like it should, like it might still have like a bit of sense of it. Like there's still going to be that sense of this person like creating the narrative, or not the narrative, like scenarios or whatever, what have you. But I just want to make it seem less like opaque. Even though the image of the DM with their hood pulled up, the shadowy figure hiding behind this fold-out screen, flailing their arms as they describe a dragon burning down a city. Like that's a cool image. But I don't know. I would like for people to think that so long as they want to, they can do whatever they want. Whatever little nudge I can give people for that. So what I wanted to do with this, because I wanted to have that little interview first, loosen us up a bit. But what I also wanted to do is I did have interest in maybe like creating a one-shot with all of you. But I feel like that could be like a much longer thing. If you ever want to do another episode of this, I hope I'm making a good first impression. So
Yes.
instead, what I thought we would do was something a bit smaller, where we just like create like bits and pieces of a world, and maybe we'll be able to use them in future projects. I don't know yet, because I don't know what's going to happen. But I wanted to start off with something very straightforward, just creating a single NPC.
Yay!
And I don't know, whoever wants to start with it. Sorry?
I said it sounds manageable, like it's not too intimidating.
Yeah, I think you can manage it. So this can go to whoever wants to start. But like, I don't know how restrictive I want to be about this, just to keep things like to give you some ideas. But I guess, okay, well, let's because we're gonna be trying to do some Starfinder in the future. Maybe if you could think of a NPC that would fit in like this futuristic sci-fi / magic setting.
Ooh.
So I don't know, whoever wants to hop on that first, the first person to come up with an idea.
Like, are we coming up with like a race, a class,
A character?
You know,
a character?
it can I don't know, it can be like if it can be like whatever you want, really, because there's like a bunch of alien species out there. So I don't know, if you want to make up like a snake person or whatever, then it's fine. Like we're not restricted to anything. They could be like whatever. I'm just trying to think of like, can you think of like a very sci-fi inspired character, or what the process would be for that sort of thing? Because for me, I would fall back on, well, what kind of fictional characters am I interested in? What concept can I take and then spin in a different direction?
Well, well, how about like a villain,
Sure.
but like, so because I like to fight people up close, but maybe this person would be like someone behind the scenes.
So like a mastermind kind of villain.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. So is there something that like, what are they? Are they just like villainous because they want to be villainous, or is there something they want? Or
I like one of those, like, for example, like Thanos, I think, or like Killmonger.
Yeah.
That their goal makes sense, but the way about going it isn't the way to go.
Sure. So it could be for the sake of like, oh man, I'm gonna drift too close to some concepts that are already in our game. So I'm trying to not say certain things. But so they could have some sort of noble end that they're looking for, and maybe something not directly related to them, but they're trying to help like someone else or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like a lot of great NPCs, in my opinion, are just rip-offs of other characters you've seen in something, but then you put a little twist on it. So, I don't know. How would you put Killmonger in space? Or Thanos in... Well, I mean, Thanos is already in space. I don't know if that's going to make a difference for him being a space villain. Since he already is.
What would be like an issue that they would be passionate about that's actually like harming space or like people that are in space?
Well, I mean, thinking of Starfinder, android rights, I guess, is a significant thing.
But a twist maybe would be like they're not androids, they're like organic species, but they're empathetic to android rights, or they know someone who's an android that's been wronged.
And they just, like, because of that experience, they really want to do something to change, like, the situations for some androids, but they go about it with, like, very extreme measures.
Like, chaotic good, but they're evil.
That's not...
What is it? Lawful evil? Lawful good? Lawful good? Lawful evil? Lawful evil.
Well, if he's evil, then...
Well, I mean,
there's, like,
that's all
neutral
from
good.
perspective. Could be.
That's true.
It is a matter of perspective, though. Like, they would say they're good.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
So they can still be like that chaotic good person who's, you know, doing something for... So they're not an android, but they want to help liberate androids, and the way they go about it is very destructive, maybe.
Exactly.
Okay. That's interesting. We'll put that in the bank. Deanna, do you have... Oh, well, sorry, before I go on, Cam, is there anything else you wanted to add to that, or...?
Of course, they're very badass and good looking.
Oh, of course. That's... I think goes without saying. That's the point of creating these characters, so they can be badass and good looking. Deanna, is there any random ideas you might have, or like a different character you already know of that you like that you would want to put another twist on in a way? A sci-fi twist?
So, like the idea that came to mind, I don't know why, but I'm thinking of like someone, like a player character maybe. I don't know. And their body, like the shape of it, they can kind of change the shape, not like a shapeshifter, but like they could fit through small spaces and kind of like liquefy or something, or like turn it into to goop, something like that, where they could get through small spaces, change the shape of their body. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so sort of like changing their form without changing what they look like, if I'm understanding, or am I off base here?
No, I mean that's kind of it. Like I just want them to be able to, or maybe they just kind of don't look like anything most of the time. Like they look like an amorphous blob or whatever. Like I'm just imagining someone who has the ability to change their body shape to fit what they need it for, like fitting into small spaces, or I don't know, like becoming like a shield for the rest of the party,
Oh,
like
okay,
covering them, something like that.
okay.
That's
So
what came to mind.
so not like changing their shape in terms of like, oh, my face looks like a different face, but like they can stretch or something, or they can like squeeze through bars or whatever on a prison cell or something like that.
Yeah, that's more what I was thinking of, although I guess maybe, well, yeah, what I was thinking is that like maybe they could try and look like somebody else, but I feel like they would only get maybe the shape of their face or something, but they would still look like whatever color they already were, and like the consistency of their flesh, that's a weird word, would stay the same. So, but mostly, yeah, just like fitting through bars, things like that. That's what I thought of.
Okay. Is there something this person is after? Like, do they have like, what are they? Is there something they're trying to do? Some goal they're trying to accomplish? Is there something they want badly that they can't get to, or?
I feel like this is kind of weird, maybe, but maybe what they want is to have more of like a permanent form. Like obviously, there's benefits to being able to change shape, but like maybe it's something they don't always have control of, or something that I don't know, they find embarrassing. Like I'm imagining that they don't wear clothes because it doesn't really make sense for their body that's always like changing shape.
Right.
And then they kind of want to be more normal. They want to be more like other races, and you know,
Yeah. No. Okay.
have a form that's more consistent.
So they're sort of looking for something to manage their. I guess they maybe they see it as a condition, or just something with a bit more stability. Something to like help themselves.
Yeah, and then I guess part of the dilemma is how useful that power or dilemma, or what did you call it, a condition?
Yeah, sure.
How useful that can be, like, and maybe over the course of their adventure or whatever, they come to see like maybe it's not so bad, or maybe there's like a delicate balance between like using it for good and like kind of controlling it.
Okay. Well, I think those are two great ideas, actually. And I might have to rip them off for our Starfinder game.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I mean, I feel like you could do something really interesting with it.
Oh, definitely.
Mine, at least.
The Bloop.
The Bloop? Is that...
The Bloop. That's his name, the Bloop.
The Bloop.
Okay, apparently.
The Bloop.
Charles the Bloop.
Charles the Bloop, yes.
Charles the Bloop. Where did Charles come from?
I don't know, but
the
Charles...
Bloop sounded like a good last name. I don't know. I was thinking it would be like, capital D, lowercase e, and then capital B.
Oh, the Bloop.
The Bloop.
I like it.
Okay. I don't know. Do you want to do a location? I don't know if that's something you want to do, or a faction maybe.
What's a faction?
Like a group of people. Like it'd be like, like a family, or like a team, or just like a general like just some group of people bound by some sort of ideology or whatever.
Well, since like the NPC that we talked about for me is like a mastermind, then maybe like people that work with them. Also they use they them pronouns.
Ooh, it's cool.
Character that we talked about. Yeah.
Okay,
So, like-
I'll add that to the notes. So who is this group that's around them then?
Well, I guess people that have had like similar bad experiences under the system.
Mhm. So is this person sort of like is it android specifically that they care about, or is it just any sort of injustice? And that's what
Any
their,
sort of injustice.
and that's what their group is like targeting.
But then they end up causing more injustice. It's kind of like an endless bad cycle. Because what they want to do is bad, but their approach is bad. So like they're perpetuating the cycle that they're on.
Right. Like they're causing as much damage as they're preventing.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. Deanna, do you have any random faction ideas? It doesn't have to be tied to the character, but if you think of something that would be cool too. But I don't know, any sort of like collective group or tribe or something like that.
Well, I was thinking of like, what bloop? The bloop.
The bloop.
Coming from like a family of the bloops.
Maybe. So like a family of Debloops, does the whole family have that ability, or is it just a coincidence that their name is Debloop?
Yeah, I was thinking of them all having the ability, and maybe this one character is the only one among them who feels like it's like a negative, like a condition rather than like an ability or you know. And then Cam gave me kind of an interesting idea. Like, what if they could all kind of merge into one bloop?
Okay.
They wanted to, like, or maybe that's how they normally live, and then like you can kind of separate from the bloop and be your own bloop.
Yeah.
Oh, is that why they want their own identity now? They're tired of being part of the group, or just like this faceless bloop. They want to have like a.
I want to be their own bloop. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I really like that actually. But yeah, like it's they want to be their own bloop. This is the exact kind of thing that I'm talking about. Like, just coming up with like these NPCs, these factions on the fly. That's what I want this show to be. Like, I want someone to look at this and just see like, oh, it's not that hard. You can figure out a bunch of those, put them in front of a bunch of players, and then you'll end up being able to create a narrative. Like, we have two different, because I was gonna say if we could think of like plot hooks or something like that, but we have those two plot hooks there already. Whether it's a matter of having to deal with that group of people, maybe they do something that causes some destruction, and you as the player characters are trying to like rein them in until you realize, you know, they have good intentions, or this the bloop person, maybe they come to you for help. Or maybe they are one of the player characters, and that's part of like their backstory and what they're trying to do. Like, I mean, I guess they would have to be an NPC if we're talking about GMing. So maybe you come across them in some way, or they're caught up in something because they're trying to find their own identity or whatever. Like, just, you know, like really casualizing it. I think is something this show tries to do, and I am very grateful that you two were able to help me do that.
Yeah, it's like we were talking about before. We're not all Matt Mercer, and that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
We don't have to be for it to be fun or like, to make a story.
Yeah.
We're friends and we love each other.
Well, yeah, that's definitely something Matt himself has said before when talking about this sort of subject. Is just, you know, like, you don't have to be. Like, whatever game you make at your table is going to be the most fun game. It's going to be more fun than any other GM could make, because it's going to be something that's made between, you know, you and your friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, just, you know, anyone out there who's listening, really, I would hope by now, after the however many episodes we've done of the show, 34 or 35 at this point, 35. This is episode 35.
Wow.
of the Win with Dice podcast. So I hope it's very clear by now that what our intention is. It's just that we want people to start, feeling that creative energy of running an RPG game. Because I know it feels great when you run a session and people say they like it. So I want other people to have that as well. But I think that's gonna do it for the show this week. How did it feel for you two, your first time on the podcast?
Happy.
Yay.
Yeah, it was it's really fun. I really would like to DM. This is making me want to like go buy like the DM books or something. Like I want to do it.
We have DM books at home.
Yeah, but like I want D&D.
Hey, if you want to borrow some copies of my books, I got Pathfinder, I got Starfighter, I got Mutes and Masterminds. I actually, I haven't bought it yet, but there's the Sentinels of the Multiverse RPG. So,
Ooh!
yeah, so there's that too. Like I have a bunch of the starter kit stuff for that, but I haven't bought the book itself because I got a lot of stuff on my credit card right now. We don't have to get into that, but yeah, that's another thing that we could get into. Like, there's all sorts of different games you could play. Pretty sure I have something for Fate lying around.
Fate.
Yeah, trust me, you're not gonna be. You will not be wanting for books if you need books from me. But yeah, I would really love to see you two run something. Hopefully on this channel. Maybe before the end of the year, we can have you doing a one shot or something on here. It could be the one shot that we planned in an episode.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So yeah,
I'm down.
Down.
Well, phenomenal. I am down too. And our listeners, if you want to see that or hear that rather, you can just subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you get a notification every time we upload a new episode of our podcast, any actual plays. We've been streaming Lancer. We're 4 episodes in our Lancer stream. Our last episode had a very dramatic ending that I hope people are able to go and check out. It was a very good episode, my favorite one so far of our Lancer game, so definitely go check that one out. I'll also, in the description of this video, I'll put a playlist of our other stuff that we've played before, many other one-shots and things we have. But if you want to know more about us, you can check out our website, which is winwithdice.ca, where you can go and you'll find out more information about the whole Win with Dice team. I have bios up there for myself, Deanna, Cam, and Ramon. So you can go there to learn more about us as people, or just check out any new posts and stuff about our games. There's some Lancer art on there that one of our players, Steven, made of the player characters, which looks phenomenal. So definitely go check that out. We're also on the Twitters, where every now and then I'll log onto Twitter and I'll just go through like a tag for something like Lancer or Starfinder or whatever and just like retweet a bunch of cool looking art. So if you want to see like random bursts of cool artists you should follow, definitely go there. What else? Another shout out to the Untold Stories project on Twitch, where you'll hear me every Wednesday playing some Fallout. Really having a lot of fun over there. I think that is about it. Cam and Deanna, do you have anything you want to say before we head off?
Love yourself. Love everybody.
That's good advice.
And I will say just be on the lookout for me DMing in the future.
That's also very good advice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that said, I'm going to close on the catchphrase, the one thing everybody should remember, the most important piece of advice, which is to keep on winning with dice. We'll see you all next week. All right, bye everybody.
Bye.